Hello everyone, welcome in today to our Madden 25 franchise team reveal. The winner of our poll was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm excited to take them over. As you might be able to see, I'm a Bucs fan. I'm a season ticket holder for them, so I'm so excited to take this team over once again. Now, this is an odd team, but we'll get to the roster here in a second. First up, our head coach is going to be Gabriel Bowens, the star kick returner from our Raiders franchise last year. He's going to come in, run the Bucs offense, run the Bucs defense to start. We'll adjust things. We're rocking Mat 10 sliders on all Madden here. This is what we're going to do. Everything's pretty standard here, so nothing too crazy. Always on the slower for the talent cost modifier, and we also have pre-existing injury on and progressive fatigue off because that's broken still. This episode, we're going to set our season goal. We're going to go through weekly strategy. We're going to take a quick look at our draft class, and we're going to do a little bit of practice, and we're going to get you out of here. So everybody pretty much knows the roster, but let's go ahead and take a quick look and go through the Buccaneers roster just to get to know our team a little bit. You got Baker Mayfield at quarterback. You know, he's part of the reason why I chose this team, if you were wondering. He's a good quarterback, but he's 29 years old. He's probably not going to get much better, and we may need to replace him here kind of soon. We don't have anybody else on the roster that's the future. At halfback, you got Rachaad White, who looks like he could be the future. However, everything else, you know, you might be able to get something out of Bucky Irving. At receiver, you have some studs. You got Mike Evans, you got Chris Godwin. However, they're both getting up there a little bit, so how long are they going to be able to stay good for? You do have some good young players in Trey Palmer and Jalen McMillan, and even Raheem Jarrett's pretty good as well. We'll see, though, if we're able to develop them. At tight end, you got Cade Otton. He's a developmental guy. He might be able to improve, but he's getting a little older and only a 75 overall. Left tackle, you got probably one of the best in the game. I think one of the best in the game, if not the best. Tristian Wirfs. He is fantastic. So at guard, that's where we're going to be in trouble with this team. Center, you did get Graham Barton to come in, but Cody Mock, the other guard, somebody that I'm not sure if we're going to be able to develop. We're going to try, but he's just a 68 overall. He has a lot of weaknesses, and he's a little older at 25. So I think interior O-line is probably going to need to be, you know, one of the top priorities with this team when we start rebuilding them. Like I said, though, Graham Barton, somebody I think we can build around. He's a really good player. He's a 74 overall, 22-year-old, first-round draft pick. He does have an upgrade. We'll get to that in a minute, but he's got hidden devs, so I'm excited. I think he's somebody we'll be able to turn into a star for us. At right tackle, you got Luke Goedeke, and he has been pretty good, actually. Once he moved out of the guard position, he went back to his natural position at tackle. He may not have the length you like, but he actually has played really well, and he deserves a ton of credit for that. Defensively, we have a lot of work to do here, in my opinion. Logan Hall is a starter, but he was a bust. He just hasn't worked out. Will Golston's older. Kalijah Cansey, he can develop, and I'm really excited about having him at D-tackle. You got Vita Vea. Problem is, he's 29, and that's kind of the issue with this team. They're getting a little older where they do have good players, and I feel like their recent draft picks haven't worked out the way they normally do. I mean, they still have had some good picks, but like, they missed for a little while there. Joe Tryon, Shoyinka really hasn't worked out. Neither has Logan Hall. Like, there's been some whiffs in there, and it's kind of got this team in an interesting spot. So I'm definitely curious, though, you know, how much more development we can get out of guys like Joe Tryon, Shoyinka. But we have Chris Braswell backing him up. We'll be able to develop. Middle linebacker, we're weak, man. We got Levonte David, but he's 34. After that, it's KJ Britt, who's 25, and that's another issue. Age, again, is going to add up for this team. Yaya Diaby's somebody I think we can develop, but he's already 25. And in Madden, that doesn't always equal a breakout. You know, he might not be able to get his overall up high enough. Considering the fact that he's a normal dev, it's going to make it really hard to develop him in this game. At corner, we have a lot of work to do here. We got Jamel Dean, but there's a lot of questions about Jamel Dean. He's got to stay healthy. He's never been the top corner, and I'm curious how that's going to work out in real life. Opposite of him, it's probably going to be Zion McCollum starting, and let's just say that's been an up and down experience. More downs than ups, if I'm being honest with you, watching him in stadium. The kid has potential, and I'm hoping he can get it figured out because, honestly, the Bucs need it in real life, and we're going to need it here. We have Bryce Hall. I might play him a little bit, but I wouldn't be shocked if you see Christian Idsian continue to start in the slot. Maybe even Tyke Smith here. At strong safety, might slide down and play some slots since we have Jordan Whitehead. We'll see. I haven't quite made up my mind yet. And then, of course, the big stud on defense that we're going to have for the long hauls, Antoine Winfield Jr., one of the best safeties in the game, maybe even the best safety in the game. The kid's fantastic, man. He's young. He's 26. He's 94 overall. He's an X-Factor or a superstar, even though I do believe he should be an X-Factor. I feel like they kind of ripped him off a little bit there, but I'm excited to have him, and he's the guy we're going to build around with this team. Looking at our specialist, Chase McLaughlin was pretty good last year, and then we have Jake Camarda, who's a pretty solid punter as well. Draft pick-wise, we have pretty much every one of our picks in the coming future, so that'll be important and good for us. We'll be able to build this team through the draft, which is something I want to do. Because of the age, basically, I don't want to supplement with too many free agents. I will say we may target some. Like, I'm never going to say never, but I think the age of this team requires us to be a little bit smarter about saying, hey, we need to get younger. We need to get young talent. So we need to draft guys. And honestly, if things don't go well, don't be shocked if I maybe move on from some of the guys that I know and love as a Bucs fan. Like, Mike Evans is fantastic. I don't ever want to move on from him. There's a chance I can move on from him. Chris Godwin, same idea. Vita Vea is somebody that I could see us maybe moving on from, even though it would break my heart a little bit. I love Vita, but he's not getting any younger. He's 29. He's on a big contract. And if things don't go well, we may end up having to make a move like that I'm not the biggest fan of. But we'll see. It's all about draft capital. Like I said, we need to get younger and we need to get better players in here because we're a solid roster. We could probably win the South this year. But honestly, I don't think that's good enough. You want to win a Super Bowl, and I know it all starts with the quarterback position, and I don't know if we'll be able to do it with Baker Mayfield, but we're certainly going to try. He's under contract, and honestly, I'm not sure when we'd be able to get away from this contract here. Just let me get to it real quick here. He has 2 years left after this, a 35.8 and a 45.8. The reality is we're probably stuck with him this year and next, and then maybe we can get out of it in 2026. I'm just not 100% sure. But that's it for the roster. Now, how many games do I expect to win? Well, we're committing to making the playoffs this year. I think that's what we should aim for. And then after this year, things may start to slide a little bit. I already hired and assigned our scouts for the region, so let's go ahead and take a quick look around the draft class and see who's in here. We'll start, hit the wrong button here. At the top is Darren Young, a quarterback out of Ohio State. Now, I will say, this is where players from our Josiah Wint Carousel Dynasty will end up in this franchise. The only thing I will say about that is they're not guaranteed to be like proper year. So I don't want to wait 4 years to start getting guys in here. I'm already 2 seasons deep, and we should start seeing guys next year that we can import that maybe made an impact as juniors. We'll see. And even some of the fake players from the base game, I'll consider importing as well. But I'm not going to wait 4 years to start using their careers. So as soon as I have people ready, that next year you're going to see them in this franchise. I think it's the right way to go about it. You know, I just want to get them in here. I like to connect my worlds, and I feel like that's the best way to do it. Like I said, timeline will be a little off, but we're going to do it. Either way, at the top, we got 2 quarterbacks. Not 100% sure that we're going to be looking at a quarterback in this class. Tight end at number 3. That's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Tackle. Overall, the class looks like it has a very strong quarterback feeling. So maybe we do need to look at some QBs this year and consider drafting one, because you never know, next year might be even weaker. But positions I personally think we're going to need to look at, I do feel like halfback's a position we can target, but it's pretty weak. I do think wide receiver is a position we could continue to look at. Probably not a first-round pick, though. Tight end's a position I'm certainly interested in looking at. I love K. Dotton, but he's 25 in Madden. How much better is he really going to get? That's the concern. And that makes me think, okay, maybe I do need to go ahead and look and get a tight end. Interior of the offensive line's the key position, though, and we'll even move tackle into guard if we have to. But as you can see, relatively weak class here at left guard. Center, very weak. Right guard, very weak. So the problem is we're probably going to end up having to try to find some tackles, and that even looks pretty weak to me. There's not a lot of draftable tackles here. So it's a bad year for O-line, and that's not good news for us because we need O-line help. It's probably our biggest weakness, and we're in deep trouble there. D-line, we could target a guy there to replace Logan Hall because that pick just didn't work out, you know, and there's definitely a lot of options here. Looking at defensive tackle, there's a ton of options, and we're probably going to bring one in. Vita's not getting any younger, and I think we should have somebody behind him even in case of injury because they haven't done a good job of getting young guys in there at that position. At left outside line, at outside backer, we might target somebody because I'm not sure about Joe Tryon, Shoyinko, or even Yaya Diaby working out because of their age, but we also have Chris Braswell, so I might target somebody, but it's not my top priority right now unless somebody blows me away. Middle linebacker, on the other hand, is another position we could target early. Levonte David's not getting any younger, and we don't have anybody else beyond him, so we got to make sure we prepare ourselves for the future. At corner, that's a position we're going to need. However, it's not as strong as I would like. There's a lot of round 1 to 2 talents, but that doesn't mean they're great players. There's only one solid round 1 player, and we don't even know if he's actually a solid round 1 player. He's 6'4", 181 pounds. He's definitely an interesting prospect. I will say that based on his size, but we're going to have to dig deep in this class and see what we can find out. Safety, honestly, is a position I'm not really worried about. And then kicker, punter, you know, I don't think we need them, but they exist, so we got to talk about them. Now we're going to jump into our weekly strategy against the Washington Commanders here. We got a mini game available now for the offensive linemen, so we're going to jump in and try that out. Personally, I haven't done this yet because we skipped the entire training camp, I didn't get to do it. So this is definitely interesting. Oh shit. Oh man. No medal. I'm going to continue. First try at it, so I'm not going to guarantee myself a medal here. Oh well, it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these off screen because I don't think they're that interesting. Either way, we finished up our training and we are going to be without Logan Hall to start off this season, along with Jose Ramirez, who's deep down the depth chart at pass rusher. We don't expect a whole lot out of him this year. He's a developmental guy that everybody had a lot of hope for last year. It just didn't really seem to work out for him. Taking a look at our offense, we're looking pretty healthy here. And we made it through, I think, completely healthy. That's fantastic on offense. So the next thing we're going to do before we go ahead and jump on out of here for our first episode is upgrade some players. Antoine Winfield Jr. is the first one up. We're going to go into hybrid for him. I'm trying to get him to a 99, and I think he'll easily get into that 99 club. Next up's halfback Rashad White. And for him, I want to go into power back because I want to make him a little bit more balanced. Next up is quarterback Baker Mayfield, and for him, we're going to go into field general. Let's get him up to an 80 overall and just make him a better player. Then we have kicker Chase McLaughlin up next, and we'll just go into power for him. It don't really matter what you upgrade. Defensive end Kalijah Cansey's up next, and I think we're going to go into power rusher for him. I just want to make him more balanced and keep him a very balanced player if I can. Punter Jake Camarda's up next. We'll just hit power for him as well. Center Graham Barton, we have our first opportunity to upgrade him, and although I want to get his overall higher immediately, we're going to go into pass protector, and it works out for us. We get him up to a 75. I want to make his weaknesses better, especially because while he's a hidden dev, he's going to develop as a superstar, so we get more upgrades for him until he reaches a snap count where I believe he's probably going to be a star dev player. So I really want to make sure that I'm working on his weaknesses so that way when we get the development trait that he has, you know, it all works out in the end. And we kind of use that wisely, in my opinion, as we're going to go to Bryce Hall, go to man-to-man, up into a 75 overall. Yaya Diaby's up next. Let's just go into power rusher. I want to make him a better player overall. He's somebody that I think they kind of robbed in this game a little bit. Logan Hall, who really hasn't worked out. We're going to go into power rusher as well. Let's just get his overall up a little bit higher. Next up's halfback Bucky Irving. We're going to go into elusive back, just make him a better player overall. I just noticed Bucky Irving also has hidden dev. I don't know why I didn't point that out. So we're definitely going to want to make him a better player overall. We're going to go into hybrid for Tyke Smith. That gets him up to a 73 overall. That was a good upgrade. Also a hidden dev player. Royce Newman's up next. Backup offensive lineman. Let's just go into pass protector. He's already pretty balanced, so let's keep him a scheme fit. Ben Bredesen, backup O-lineman. Let's go into pass protector, make him a little bit better, because if he has to play, he's really weak in that regard. I do kind of hate that they give you a bunch of skill points, so I'm like, listen, we didn't do the preseason, so we got like it simulated, and we got all these skill points from it. Either way, next up's Jose Ramirez. Let's go into speed rusher for him. Middle linebacker JJ Russell's up next, and we're going to go into pass coverage for him. I'd like my linebackers to have pass coverage skills because obviously they're going to be back in coverage quite a bit. Last one's Ben Still at defensive end. I don't know much about him, honestly. We're going to go into power rusher here. Either way, that's it. Everybody usually jumps into a game week one. I don't want to do that. I want to go through this. I want to talk about everything and make sure that you guys know what we're getting into. In the next episode, the very first game of the series, what I'll call episode 1, is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Washington Commanders. So I'm excited to get into that game. We get to face Jaden Daniels right away. He's going to be a tough player to contain, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I also want to say I'm going to try to use the progression and regression sliders that Mr. Hurricane had last year. I liked what they did in my Raiders franchise, so I think we're going to go ahead and use them in this and just import it. And if I have to tweak them, I will. We're going to trust that it's basically the same. I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm LDJ11. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you guys are excited for Bucs franchise, and we're going to get into week 1 in the next one. Have a great day. I'm out.